everybody, it's me Meg, and today I'm going to show you how to build a wolf statue in Minecraft. Thank you so much for the suggestion. I will definitely look into doing more statues since everyone seemed to really like my first one, so here's the second installment. If you have another idea for a tutorial you'd like to see or even just a large build you'd like me to do, please mention it in the comments below and I will take it into consideration. But now, let's get started building this statue. All you're really going to need for the statue is a combination of different types of stone, so you can select whatever stone blocks you want. I'm going to use smooth stone for the majority of my build, but later on I will be mixing in other types as well. I'm going to start with the base of the statue, which is just going to be a rock for the wolf to stand on. The first thing I need to do is mark off an area that I know the wolf will be standing in so that I don't build this too small or too large. Taking any block of your choice, I'm using red wool so that I can see it better. Build 4 blocks up, and then we're going to make a rectangle that is 13 by 24 blocks. Again, this is just me marking out the area that the wolf will be standing in. That way we know for sure that our base will be the correct size to contain the wolf. So once you have your rectangle done, you can go ahead and take ordinary stone and just fill in the center. And then we're going to kind of add extra layers in the front and on the sides. Then I'm going to start layering it down one layer at a time, and I'm going to kind of taper it off a little bit so that it looks like the rock is kind of overhanging in the front. There is no right or wrong way to do this, just as long as the inside of your rectangle stays flat. Now because we need such a large flat area on the top, we can add more jagged edges to the sides of the rock to help the shape. Once you have the rock looking how you like it, you can always go back and change it later, but let's get started with the wolf statue. So you need to decide which end of the rectangle is going to be the back end of the wolf. So once you decide that, you're going to find the center block and then build 3 blocks in. And this is to give you a starting point for where you will be placing your first blocks. That way the wolf should fit perfectly inside this rectangle if done correctly. So what we're going to do is just build 1 layer at a time of this wolf, starting with the center. So following the diagram block by block and just build it up. It's going to look really weird at first, but the more layers we add, the more like a wolf it will look. Once you have completed the middle layer, we're going to go on to the second layer. That is the second layer on both sides of the wolf. So it's going to be the exact same thing on both sides, but I'm going to show it to you in both directions so you don't get confused. Also on this layer is the eye of the wolf, and I just use a block of coal. One thing to note for this tutorial is sometimes you're going to see a layer overlap another layer. Basically, you just need to pay close attention to where the blocks in the diagram are in relation to the blocks you've already placed. That is key in getting this lined up correctly. And I did build it myself using my diagrams as you can see here, but just be careful because one misplaced block can mess up the entire build. So if you ever find yourself stuck, just backtrack a little bit and see if you can figure out where you went wrong. Okay, once we have the second layer done on both sides, we can begin work on the third layer. In this layer, we start to introduce a little more of the ear as well as more of the facial muscles. This layer mostly defines more of the body and kind of fine-tunes the larger shapes. Once you have finished that layer on both sides, we're going to move on to the fourth layer. In this layer, we're actually going to be completing our ear, and we're going to be building much smaller shapes that are more spread out. We're also going to be starting on the legs of the wolf, starting with the front legs that are slightly bent forward. But as you can see, there are more gaps on these layers because we need to start defining the rounder shapes. So hopefully, the more layers you add, the easier it will be to figure out where each block needs to go. Okay, let's get on to layer 5. And now we're going to be defining the back paws. So we're going to be building out the back leg and starting on the paw there. And it doesn't look like much of a paw yet, but don't worry, the next layer will add more to it. And we're also going to add on to the front legs, starting at the paw and working our way up. Once you have repeated this to the other side, we're going to move on to the 6th layer. And this is getting quite small. We're only going to be placing just a few blocks on the front leg and a few more blocks on the back leg. Again, if there's ever a time where you're confused or something isn't lining up, it's probably because you misplaced a single block. This actually happened to me while I was building this, but I was able to find my mistake and I fixed it, and then everything lined up perfectly. And now for the 7th and final layer, we're only going to be placing 4 blocks here on the back legs on each side. But now I know what you're thinking. What about the tail? This wolf does not have a tail. Well, I was saving that till the end because I wanted it to be separate from everything else, and since the wolf right now is symmetrical and the tail isn't, I was just going to do the tail separately. So on the right side of the wolf, which is where we will be building the tail from, we're going to find that little piece of rock that's sticking out in the back, and we're going to build this layer on top of it. And once you have that, we're going to build another layer on top of that, like so. And we're just going to keep adding on layers. Just remember that we're only building from one direction. This is also the point where we can see if we've lined up our statue correctly. As you can see, your tail should land just inside the red rectangle that we made, and so will all of the other paws that we have. After adding the 3 final layers to the tail, we have the majority of the wolf done. But wait, there's more. Now we're going to start adding in a little extra detail. And I'm going to recommend you at least do this first part here, where I took cobblestone stairs and put 4 of them in this formation to create a nose. And then after that, you can just place the stairs anywhere you want in the statue to smooth off any edges you like. And this is just to add a little bit of variety all around to make it look more like a statue, and also to smooth off some of those harsh corners. Once you're done with that, we can go in and replace our rectangle with stone so that it's part of the rock. And now I'm actually going to go over the whole rock and just kind of randomly place some andesite to add a little bit of extra texture to it. You could even use concrete blocks or cobblestone if you wanted to, but I'm just going to stick to these 2 blocks. And now I'm going to add some green carpet, and this is going to represent moss on the stone. And I'm using carpet as opposed to grass blocks or even leaves because I want it to be very flat and very smooth looking all around the rock. And then I'm going to add some vines around the sides of the statue, and then it is complete. Of course, if you wanted a more weathered look, you could even add cracked stone or mossy rocks throughout, but I'm just going to keep mine as it is. And now you've completed your statue. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Don't forget to leave a like if you liked it, then I'll know that you want more tutorials like this. Thank you for watching, and goodbye!